the gift God gave me is the gift of seeing the experience. For the longest, like I said, I didn't know how to monetize it, but I've always I've always been in a space and been like, man, you could enhance the experience if you did this, or the experience would be more notable if you did this. And I feel like that was always my gift.
Get around those obstacles and make room to create opportunities. You are listening to the Around the Way podcast. And now, your hosts, Kyle King and Kiana Williams.
Welcome to another episode of Around the Way podcast, where we help you get around your obstacles and find a way to redesign your life. We have not the liquor rep, part owner of an actual amazing liquor company based right here in North Carolina. Colton, how you doing, man?
I'm very well.
Before we even get to introductions, you got to retell us that story that you just told us.
I can tell it again. So I'm coming from Durham. Durham is where Bedlam Vodka is from, but also where I'm from. So, anybody who knows me knows I rep the Bull City real hard. So I traveled down today to meet with a restaurant. I won't say the name. Keep it a little bit under wraps. But I did a presentation for their staff and told them about Bedlam and the history of Bedlam, why it's unique, all those good things. So we're wrapping that up. The GM of the restaurant was gracious enough to offer me dinner and all that good stuff. And this is a fine dining restaurant, by the way. So she's taking me through different pairings when it comes to the lamb with wines and different things like that. So she's educating me on wine at the end of the day. So we're having a conversation about that, and then about potential partnerships with Bedlam in the future. They have other locations, so we're talking business. In the midst of that, there are a couple other couples in the area, and there's one particular couple, Caucasian couple, that is at the bar, and they've been there for about 15 minutes. And as we're having our conversation, I hear them say, "Hey, where's the manager?" So immediately once they say that, the young lady I was speaking to, who is the manager, the GM of the restaurant, was like, I heard my name. So she turns around, she goes to talk to him, and the couple goes on to say, like, "Hey, we've been here 15 minutes. We want food. No one's given us a menu. No one's asked us what we want to eat." So the manager's like, "Well, I see you have your drinks. Did you ask anyone for a menu? Did you ask anyone for a dinner type deal? Sitting at the bar, not at a table, or asked to be seated where they would obviously be eating. Like, there are people at the bar just drinking." So she goes on to say, "You're over there having a planning your next date with the gentleman over there, flirting, doing this and that." And the manager's like, "Flirting? Like, no, we're discussing business. He's a representative of Bedlam Vodka, who he just did a presentation for our staff. Excuse me. That's not the case. We're just, did you ask anyone else in the area, the other 5 people behind the bar, if you could have a menu or order something?" But she was extremely polite, and of course, running a business and being a GM of a restaurant, you're appeasing the customer. So the lady's kind of taking her through the ringer a little bit. So I hear all this, and I'm kind of looking around to see if anybody else is like, "What the fuck?" This lady's OD. So I kind of see that, but I'm not sure. So I call one of my friends just to keep myself calm, because at that point my hands are shaking. I'm like, I want to say something so bad. So then the couple's like, "We don't want food. We don't want that. We're just leaving. We're going to leave." So as they're walking out, I'm on the phone. I hang up. I'm like, "Bro, I'll call you back." Hang up the phone. It's like, I cannot let this lady walk out without saying something. So as soon as she gets to me, I'm like, "Excuse me, ma'am. I just wanted to, I just couldn't let you walk past without saying something. And I'm not here to appease nor appeal to you or hope that you leave here and say something good about this restaurant." I was like, I just feel like what you said was extremely, inappropriate, and what you said was pretty ridiculous, insinuating that we were setting up a date or something like that. We're having a conversation about business, things like that. She's like, "Well, I've been here 15 minutes and this and that, and no one's asked me what I want to eat. I was like, well, when's the last time a manager has taken your order? I was like, probably never. I waited till right before she was going to say what she was going to say.
Like that pause.
Yeah.
Probably.
She was like, I was like, let me stop you there. Probably never. But I said, all that to the side, you had 4 or 5 people, you could have gotten their attention. Or if you really wanted her attention, if you said, excuse me, immediately our conversation would have stopped and she would address your needs. And she was like, well, you guys are over here planning your date. I said, that's the part I was talking about that was inappropriate. Like, we're planning nothing. We're talking business. She's like, well, it's a liquor rep. Let me stop you there again. I'm not a liquor rep. I have equity in the liquor company. I was like, so drop your entitlement right there at the door. And she was like, at that point, her husband was like, oh, shit. But he still hadn't said anything, which was kind of obvious that, this wasn't the first time a situation happened. And she tried to go on explaining again. And I, did my best to be polite and nip it in the bud type deal. But as they did walk out, I kind of looked around for confirmation from the other white couple. And there was a white couple in the corner who was like, you handled that so well. You were so polite. You didn't have to be polite. She's just another Karen. And when I heard that, I busted out laughing. I thought that was hilarious. But it was just one of those situations where it's like, yeah, it could possibly be because we're both young. But then if we were two middle-aged or young, white people, you may have considered the fact that was a business conversation. You wouldn't have threw it in a flirting category or,
Exactly.
We're planning a date. Like, come on now. We're conducting business just as if anybody else would. And I was like, 4 or 5 years ago, I probably would have let that go. Today, and now, probably for the last couple of years and moving forward, I'll never let shit like that slide. Because people just need to know, especially older white folks that feel like they can, because to me, you'll get those little slights. Like, you'll get those little instances where they try to talk down to you just slightly, and they need to be made aware that, like, nah, we're not fucking with that no more. Like, we're not gonna allow that to happen no more. So I had to say something. She probably didn't take anything from it. But maybe she'll see Bedlam Vodka and think of me and buy a bottle.
Straight up. Look, accountability is absolutely key. And I think a lot of times, and why I wanted us to start with that story, because this is a gentleman that, we've shared stages together. Well, sort of, kind of. And he's talked a lot about holding people accountable. He's talked a lot. I even remember conversations in regards to the intensity in your household. He's talked a lot about awareness. And even today, he's brought awareness to Bedlam Vodka. So could you just introduce yourself, talk about where you are, who you are, and how you're just changing lives, man?
Yeah, so I'm Colton Palmer. I'm from Durham, North Carolina, the Bull City. Us Durham folks, we claim that, we're proud of that. But I believe we have to mention it because it shapes us. Durham is a place where you've seen affluent black people, you've seen black people be very successful. It wasn't foreign for us growing up to see a black mayor. Shout out Bill Bell. That's 20 years, 20 plus. I don't know what the statistics are, but he was mayor for pretty much my whole life in my youth. But we saw black doctors, lawyers, city officials. I mean, it was more common. But then Durham also offers you a perspective of, the hood. We all go to school together. Like, it's intermingled, so there's a respect for every lifestyle, but there's an understanding and a visual of what life can be. So it's one of those unique spaces. We're not a huge city, but the love and respect and kind of the lasting impression that Durham leaves on people is, you feel it when you meet a person from Durham. So I feel like I had to mention that to give my background a little bit. But I was finding my way for quite some time. I've always been interested in entrepreneurship and starting my own businesses, and I kind of found my way and my tag. And actually throughout COVID, I had some time to really think and really evaluate what I wanted to do and get back to my goals. And I kind of came up with the tag, the facilitator. I was kind of calling myself a consultant, but I'm not really a consultant. I'm a facilitator. A facilitator brings ease to a project or helps with a project, making it run more smoothly. And what I found myself doing is I specialize in a couple things, but what I truly specialize in is connections and networking. And for the longest, I couldn't figure out how to monetize that. And now I realize that, when a business is struggling with branding, I can help there. But if they're struggling with PR, I'm not a specialist, but I can bring in a specialist. If you need an attorney, I can, connect you with an attorney. If you need an accountant, I can connect you with an accountant. So I have a laundry list of folks that I trust, that I know do good business and have the best interest of these businesses in mind. And I've created a business off connecting them with the right people. And I think a lot of times, especially as Black business owners, we assume certain things may cost too much or that we could just do it ourselves. But at the end of the day, we have so much talent and ability and as Black folks, but we also try to do so much. We spread ourselves thin that we don't focus on what makes us special. And if I can bring the components to your business that allow you to focus on what makes your business special, then I've done what I'm supposed to do. So that's kind of where I've moved to is, the facilitator. And we through that, I've had the opportunity to, collaborate with some businesses, but also invest in some businesses that, I'm very proud to represent and to be a part of, Bedlam Vodka being one of them. And then Neurovice is one that I recently invested in and pulled some investors together. And this young lady has literally created a product and a medical device that's, interrupting the medical, I guess, market when it comes to seizures. And she's a, brilliant young woman, but, I didn't take it as a big deal until my friends and business associates kind of brought to my attention that, I was able to raise roughly $150,000 for her business, and then I raised $100,000 for Bedlam. And I was like, man, I raised $250,000 during COVID like that. That was significant, and that wasn't my intention.
Exactly.
To be seeking, finances. I was just essentially trying to fix either a problem or, become a somewhat of a solution for challenges particular businesses face. So. Right now, if I had to give you my elevator pitch, I would say I'm in the business of strategic solutions. If you have a problem, I can find a way to fix it.
I like that. I know you have thoughts.
But before, I feel like we should pour.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah,
definitely.
I gotta crack the bottle,
we get into
Definitely.
it, I feel like that helps the conversation.
Yeah, I got a lot of thoughts. And it's just I love what you said about Durham as you're cracking open everything. Because I went to Hillside. I graduated from Hillside, and I think what makes Durham such an amazing city is kind of like the HBCU that you keep waking up to every single morning. It's the community feel.
Yeah.
Like we take care of each other in the community, and I miss that about that community, but that led me to going to an HBCU so you can continue to recreate that community. I love what he said. It's about, representation.
I said that was a lot.
Nah,
Should I pour some of the water?
that representation.
It can go well.
Okay.
It couples well with water.
It's crazy because it's the black bottle.
I like the
Yeah.
way it looks. I think it's
Well,
appealing.
one thing I was also...
It does seem like we have a lot in here.
Yes,
Colton.
I have some 7-Up under the table. I don't know if that's going to really help.
Let me see.
Try
Let me
it
see
straight
what
up.
it's looking like. What you think?
Nah, solid. This is the only bottle you have?
I have another one in the car.
You take a commercial break.
Nah, literally. Word. That's solid.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
people expect vodkas to burn. I'll
I
give
do.
just a quick little rundown on why Bedlam's unique. So our new campaign we're rolling out is Unvodka. We're all too young because when they brought this up to me in like a marketing meeting, 7-Up, I guess it was 7-Up or one of them, 7-Up Sprite, they had a Uncola campaign. So back in the day, Coca-Cola was only soda. So 7-Up wanted to put out there that they weren't the same. This is a uncola campaign. So we put out an unvodka campaign, but most vodkas are made from potato or wheat. Ours is made from long grain white rice. So it's only distilled one time. They've made you believe that distilled 7-8 times means something. It means nothing. We're able to maintain the flavor with the one distillation. We say grain to glass because it literally, everything is done in Durham at the distillery, Gray Beer Distillery. And one thing most folks don't know, like Smirnoff, Tito's, all those different vodkas come from 2 to 3 major manufacturers that then deliver the vodka to their distillery, and then they distill it and call it handcrafted per se. It's all the same shit. This is actually made at the Gray Beer Distillery. And one thing that's very interesting to note that I thought was a major selling point that we don't necessarily push, but I think is a great point to push, is when they figured out what enzyme they needed to yield the vodka in mass quantities, they ended up stumbling across an enzyme that would allow them to yield double. So when you make any alcohol, you have what they call heads and tails, and then the body or the heart. That's the good stuff. When liquor is first yielded, if you were to drink it, it would kill you. It's poisonous. The heads, just a portion of it at the beginning. But most alcohol companies, in order to maintain the 45% alcohol or what they want to meet, they have to pull from the heads or the tails. So when you look at a higher quality alcohol, oftentimes you're paying $50, $60 for a fifth because they're only pulling from the body or the heart of it. Well, the enzyme that we stumbled across at Bedlam allowed us to yield double. So you don't get any of the heads or the tails. So you get the body. So I've put it to the test, and I've had many people around me put it to the test. You can drink a whole bottle of Bedlam by yourself, and you won't be hungover the next day. You may wake up drunk, but you won't be hungover. But the interesting thing about the heads and the tails is the heads is what gives you a headache when you're hangover. The tails is what gives you essentially the bathroom. Wow. Yeah, but it was a recipe that came from Ireland. One of the gentlemen who's a founder, it's been in his family for 170 years. When the potato famine happened in Ireland, they were in Bedlam, Ireland, which is not a place that exists anymore, but they found out, seeked it out, found the history behind it. But when the potato famine happened, the English were essentially taxing the Irish on everything. So they had long grain white rice. So they had it in these big barrels, and they would mark it with this, like the 2-headed bird or raven on the barrel. But that was to notify the locals that under all the rice, they had liquor in there. Oh. So that's the story behind the insignia.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's dope.
Yeah, so it is different, and I'm very proud to say that Jason Derulo has come on as our spokesperson, and also when I came on as an owner, I reached out to other potential investors that were either promoters or folks that I had done business with that were also black that could invest. So we have a healthy amount of equity is stemming from black ownership.
That's dope.
So I'm very proud of that, and we're building, we're growing. We got a deal launching with Walmart here in the next couple weeks, with Amazon soon, moving to Australia soon. So
that's exciting.
That's amazing, man.
Making it shake.
That's amazing. All through a pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it was tough too. We had to make some. We made a pivot or two. Did hand sanitizer for some of the hospitals in the Triangle. That kept us rolling.
A lot of distilleries were doing that, right?
Yeah. Once we figured out that that was something that could keep the lights on, we did it, and then. I think what the pandemic allowed, though, was for us to reevaluate, marketing, our approach to marketing, and more people were going to liquor stores as opposed to getting their drinks at a bar or restaurant. So they had a chance to kind of look and see, like, hey, let me try something else out, or let me try something that's made here locally, from North Carolina or whatever the case may be. But it gave us a chance to put some things out there and track some analytics and see what was actually working for us. So it was beneficial. It was beneficial as much as it was a challenge.
That's so interesting because you wouldn't think of like starting a liquor company that would be a good idea during COVID, but it's like you said, people are willing to try something new because
that's all they're doing.
Yeah, that's what we drink.
They're at home drinking.
Yeah,
it's a harsh truth, but it's the truth.
Wow, what are you thinking? I have so many directions that I could take this.
I know. There are so many. One thing I just want to say to everybody. If y'all can find, there is a video on the internet, at least one, where all of us are in the video talking about other topics. So
no, literally.
Based on what you were saying earlier. So if y'all can find it, then it's out there.
That's crazy. Everything circles around.
No, literally.
Everything. So. I think I guess my thought, right? Because you talked about Durham, you talked about how I put it and how I wrote it down is that you're like a melting pot to maximize people's visions, right? If you don't have it or don't have the skill set, you know where it is kind of in your network, in your community. And you talked about what makes Bedlam special and what makes it different. But I guess my question is, what makes you different? What makes the business of Colton different?
I would say I not to brag on myself, but the gift God gave me is the gift of seeing the experience. For the longest, like I said, I didn't know how to monetize it, but I've always I've always been in a space and been like, man, you could enhance the experience if you did this, or the experience would be more notable if you did this. And I feel like that was always my gift. And I was always able to enhance the experience. When I was in college, I didn't start throwing parties because I wanted to make money like most promoters do. I didn't even consider myself a promoter at all. I just actually liked to party, and I liked for the people around me to have fun. I always loved facilitating the experience. Like,
I feel it.
If you could tell, if your best college story, you couldn't tell without me being in it, like it was at Colton's house, or it was, Colton did this or that. Like, I love to hear that. I love to hear people come back and tell me, like, man, I couldn't wait to come pregame with you or come hang out or go to the club with y'all. And I felt how much that fed me. And back then it was feeding an ego. As I got older, I realized that the ego meant nothing. It was really feeding my gift if I could, cultivate it. And that's what I felt like started, as I started to move into the world of business and find myself as a businessman. It was, okay, I can network well. I can see, what makes an experience exceptional to a person. What can make it? How can I hide? Almost put my product into the guise of their story. They can't tell the story without mentioning my product or the event that I created. So I was like, man, okay, now I have to figure out a way to make that into a business model that I could take to someone and say, this is why you should pay me this much. So I think what makes me unique is that we have boots on the ground. I'm not basing my marketing strategy or advertising strategy off of what you're learning at, in college, getting your MBA or getting whatever, degree. Although I think there's value to that as well, 100%. But there's something about being able to understand what will make people move on the ground level at that particular moment that is, you're not going to find that off Googling anything or researching it or asking some, business professional or someone who is an expert in business. They're only money driven. At the end of the day, if you're experience driven, money will come. It'll always be there. If you can force your product into people's stories, then your product is gonna be successful. So, and I can't act like this is all based off my thoughts. I read a book called Contagious, and it changed my life. This dude studied the concept of virality, and when I read that book, it changed my whole perspective on things of how it gave me an understanding of how much value I could bring and my team could bring off of being able to bring 1,000 people to one space to party for 4 hours. Like, I didn't realize how much power I had with that. I thought that, like, ticket sales were my money. But ticket sales that's nothing. If I can move 1,000 people to go to a particular space for 3 or 4 hours, that's the true power. And that's what I have to monetize. So that's how I started looking at things. And then I didn't go into Bedlam with, a proposal or saying, hey, you should hire me because I can do this. I went on a tour of the distillery. The CEO was telling me everything about Bedlam, why it was unique. I offered him 3 questions that I knew he could answer, but not answer in detail necessarily, because that would be what his marketing person should do. But I gave him 3 solutions that I knew he couldn't implement without me. And then he asked me, well, what do you do for a living? And then I was like, well, I do this, 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 and this. We should talk about this. I'll send you some numbers, a proposal. And we went from there. And it really took that over the top by the fact that a lot of businesses discredit the impact of black millennials and black people as consumers in general. Like, the marketing company they were dealing with, like, it targeted white males from 30 to 40 for vodka. I thought that was absurd. Like, when I'm 30, I know what I drink, and I'm not changing. You know what I'm saying? When I'm 21, 22, I'll drink whatever you put in front of me.
Nah, literally.
So we need to put this shit in front of them.
Literally.
and then they also, like, a lot of times in business, I feel like, all the folks coming back with the analytics, they're not mentioning black folks. And it's not taking advantage, in my opinion, but, if you're in the black community, you're involved in the black community, we move on things that, move the culture or are swaggy or cool or what we're feeling at the time. You know what I'm saying? So, you can present a product to us, and when it's presented organically, we will accept it, we will adopt it, even if it's not our favorite thing, just because people have that business or brand has acknowledged us. Like, there's so many companies that just don't even acknowledge us. Like, I had to push hard for us to make a post for Juneteenth because everyone was a little nervous around that time about, well, are we doing it to get black people to buy our product, but, we're not genuine about it. I'm like, no. See, you're looking at it from a perspective of how you'll be judged, but at the end of the day, how many businesses that aren't 100% black owned are even going to acknowledge Juneteenth or acknowledge us? Just acknowledge that we exist and that we're one of your consumers. Like, I mean, I know I've experienced it. Like, you see any random major brand have like a young black celeb in their or a black person, they're like, damn, they had so-and-so in there.
Exactly.
Like, I'm going to try that out.
Facts.
Because they had put a black person, just because you acknowledge that we existed. So, I know I went way off.
Nah, this is good. This is good.
I do have a question, Colton. So this is maybe a little bit more personal. So in what you've described, essentially your gift, as you've identified it, is to identify and meet people's needs, right? And then help bridge connections between those things. I know a lot of times when we're good at that, or we're good at helping people in general, we're able to help people, but we lack in some of the areas that we counsel people in. Like, you heard counselors or somebody who gives really good advice. Like, we'll have a friend that gives really, really great advice, but then they're really horrible at implementing the things that they recommend to people. What areas of your life do you feel like you're currently maybe struggling in, where you're really helpful for other people, but it's like, I wish I could get this together for me?
We're going to answer that right after the commercial. Can I get some more?
Oh, absolutely.
This is
Turn that up,
some good stuff.
Boy, young. Nah, but I would say you hit the nail on the head with that question. I was doing all these different things for everyone else, and prioritizing them first. What my biggest issue was is then I stopped prioritizing, or didn't even realize I wasn't prioritizing my own endeavors. Like I started, wake up in the morning, when your brain's firing at its highest level, when I should be doing the things that I'm trying to create or cultivate. And that, I think that was from
The One Thing.
The One Thing.
Yeah.
From The One Thing.
Gary Keller.
The One Thing. I was like, when I read that book, I was like,
Changed
damn.
everything.
I be giving everybody else all my juice.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm using, I'm using what's barely left in the gas tank to do my own thing.
Facts.
So what I started doing is prioritizing when I actually did business for other people or designed graphics or website, whatever I was doing. I would do that after I spent time focused on what I wanted to do, which really that's like of the last 3 or 4 weeks that I've really implemented that. Because I thought about it for I read that book 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but I kept saying I was going to do it, but I wasn't actually doing it. Then I was like, okay, I'm not going to work on anything else for anybody else on Mondays. Sunday, I'm going to schedule. Monday, I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to put all my creativity and all my, thoughts and energy into what I'm working on. And then on Tuesday, I'll start addressing what people have brought to me from their particular business or whatever else I need to do. And I really think that stemmed from me dictating my moves based off money. Like I got so caught up in making money right now as opposed to my vision for the future or my purpose. Like COVID made me stop. I got panicky about like, damn, they're not gonna be able to keep paying me. Like they can't keep me on retainer. So what am I do for money? And then I started to think more. I was like, damn, when did I become this guy that only thought about money? I used to hate the person that only talked about bread because I wasn't money doesn't dictate my life personally. People say, about the money and the happiness. Money will make you happy because you can do whatever you want. The more money you have. But that's if you put money highest on the totem pole. Like money's never been the number one priority for me. It was always people. So money coming later or whatever the case may be was like
literally. I feel like since the first time we talked, we have so much in common.
Yeah.
Like even how your upbringing, 2-parent household, your perspective. So I guess my question, to challenge the thought that money is not the first priority, do you believe that your upbringing and you being, growing up, not affluent family, but you were good.
Yeah.
Do you believe because of how you were raised, it's created a perspective to do more for people versus go after profit?
Partially. But I won't say it stemmed from my parents doing well and me not wanting for anything. I don't think that was what did it. I think what made me look at life that way was the examples my parents showed.
That's what
that was really what it was. Like my dad was in community affairs. He was in city politics for a while, and then he went to Duke. He was a VP of community affairs and all that good stuff. And I remember he never told me this, but someone else was like, "Man, your father is just, I love him so much. I appreciate him. They offered him like a $30,000 or $40,000 raise, and he was like, "Don't give it to me. Distribute it amongst my staff in my office."
Wow.
And I was like, "What?" Somebody told me this is like a 16-year-old. I'm like, "Are you serious?" But then, as I got older, I started to reflect on my dad took me to city council meetings. I hated being there. I didn't want to be there as an 8-year-old, but he was like, you always want to show face. You know what I'm saying? So I started to, as I got older, I realized the value of that, of running into people and or being in the right places or being at those places where most people wouldn't show up to. And then he would always point out different examples, like Nan Cohan was the president of Duke University at the time. And we went to a Christmas party there every year, and there's all these bigwigs, like from Duke and whoever she invites. She's president of Duke University. And we would walk in, and she's she's like, hey, Michael. She asked a couple questions, said some things to my mom that are very relatively personal. Then she's like, Colton, how's wrestling season going? Like, are you going for your second state title, right? And this, like, she knew details. And I'm like, Dad, how does she know that? He was like, she literally looks at the guest list and researches every person on the guest list before the party just to be more personable with everyone. And I was like, at the time, I'm like, that's ridiculous. Now that I'm older, I'm like, that's so valuable. Yeah. That's so valuable. And just the fact that she took that time. But I really think, you know, seeing my parents do so much for folks, not seeking credit, but just to do it, you know what I'm saying? That's what made me value people ahead of money. You know what I'm saying? And you know, also with my mom and dad, like my dad coaching and sports and whatnot, I just saw like I posted a couple weeks ago, my dad was retiring. I didn't expect anyone to comment. He got like 60 comments on Instagram. People like, Coach Palmer, man, you deserve it. And I'm like, my dad was like, my dad doesn't have Instagram, but my mom does. So my dad was like, tell everybody, I said, thank you type deal. And my mom was telling me that he was like emotional over that. And I was like, damn, like the lasting impact of what you do for a kid, just coaching him for 1 year in Pop Warner football or, you know, basketball or baseball, whatever the case may be. It was like, man, it goes a long way to really like, and you don't know what little thing changes someone's life or steers them on the right path. And I just always felt like, you know, if I focused on people, and there were times where I wavered, you know, like, damn, I don't want to, if I keep doing this, I'm just not getting my due. Like, people don't even know I'm the one making shit shake behind the scenes. Yeah. Like, I should get credit. Once I realized that, like, it'll come in due time. There's people that notice and there's people that pay attention. And the people who notice and pay attention are the right people. They're the people who actually present an opportunity to you that you can. The masses are going to do nothing for you, other than give you a pat on the back and then talk shit in a week.
I have a question, Colton.
Sure, that's good.
You know, first of all, this vodka is so smooth, but I feel it. It doesn't look like
it's
I
effective.
really.
It's effective.
It is, but I can feel it. Okay, so bear with me on this question. So you mentioned your dad first. Your parents, both of them are in your life, but you focus mostly on your dad in your response, which just points to me that he has like a strong influence on your life. So what is something, because I know for me, and Kyle probably would agree with this too, our parents have done like an amazing job in our lives. And we learn a lot of really great things from them. Sometimes we take those things to an extreme that ends up being a negative thing. But then we also learn like negative things too from our parents. Can you point to anything that you've learned from your parents or through your parents that hasn't always had, like it was maybe intended to be positive or was a positive thing, but the result of how you've implemented that in your life hasn't necessarily been positive all the time?
Okay. Yeah, I guess I have an example of that. And I will say too, like I put a focus on my dad, but from a business standpoint, like entrepreneur standpoint, my mom was the leader on that end. Like my dad was heavily involved in the community, so heavily involved when it came to people. I didn't realize it, the impact, but my mom being a black dentist with two practices. So that was like actually the
so crazy.
The entrepreneurship part.
Not like my pops. My pops was the community guy.
Yeah.
My mom was the corporate woman.
Yeah.
So it's just very interesting hearing the perspective. And I think even before you answer, like I don't think it's
conviction over here.
Yeah, like it's interesting because I feel like a lot of like we're unicorns. You know, I've never sat in a room with three people that we all have two-parent homes. Yeah. We all had great upbringing. We all have great parental stories. Our parents have had great influences on our life. When you look at society and media and everything of what black people are presented as parents and all these different things, this is not the narrative. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of times we got to sit in this right now because this is different. You know what I'm saying? So glad.
Yeah, and I mean it is different. But I think it even happens more than we than we realize, and we just don't bring it up to each other either. Like you always hear about the one parent household, but there have been a lot of folks who are raised by, you know what I'm saying, one parent, but the other parent was very much involved. But that's the narrative we're given because it tells a more compelling story.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of couples that aren't together that both parents have done a hell of a job, you know what I'm saying, and in making it work. But I agree with you. Like it's rare that you have that conversation with folks that are especially young black people like us that, you know, have both parents in their lives that did an excellent job. And everybody's parents have had challenges, you know, major challenges. But I would say my parents, for example, and I'm sure you all's parents, like when they face challenges, they didn't put the challenges on the children. Like a lot of young black kids, I feel like, are burdened with the challenges of parents when they don't deserve that.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? And they're not ready for that yet. But it's cast on them. But aside from that, I have to refocus on the question. I might be feeling the bedlam a little bit. But I will say with my parents, I would say one thing that I took away, and it's kind of sports specific, but I think it's a lot. It's a life thing too, because my life was wrestling for 20 years. Like I didn't know anything else. Like every weekend I was competing. I was cutting weight week in, week out. Like when people say like, and you'll hear in the wrestling world, like wrestling is a lifestyle. It's truly a lifestyle. Like if it's not a lifestyle, you're not good at it, pretty much. Like we had a wrestling room in my house from 9 years old to 18 years old. I had a trainer who I either lifted with or wrestled with every day prior to going to school. Like 5:30 in the morning, I trained before school every day from 9 to 18. So it was a serious commitment. But one thing I kind of a microcosm that became something that was bigger in life is my dad wasn't a wrestler, but he learned and loved the sport so much. I'm the third of three boys, so we were hyper-focused. My dad kind of felt like he had figured out the recipe when it came to wrestling. And the whole thing was fine competition, tough competition. So I was competing so much that by the time I got to college, like I was almost burnt out because I started when I was 5. So like, you know, I'm cutting weight or competing every weekend during the regular season for middle school, high school, which is, you know, November through February. I'm cutting weight or weighing in or preparing for competition every Wednesday and Saturday or Friday, Saturday. And then in the off season, I'm competing at least twice a month. So I'm cutting weight still. And at no point did we stop and say, hey, boom, we're going to stop competing. We're going to stop cutting weight, and we're going to focus on just getting better for these 60 to 90 days. And then we'll go back to competition. So we were so hyper focused on the competition that we didn't stop and think about letting my body recover, me getting better, raising my wrestling IQ, things like that. It was all a physical and a lag on the mental. And we also didn't address what it was doing to my mental, you know, my psychological state of constantly competing and never letting up, and, you know, wins and losses. And, you know, that took a major toll on me throughout high school, but I didn't feel comfortable telling my parents. And I didn't feel comfortable telling my dad because I felt like I was letting them down. So one thing that I think that impacted me on in life in general was I definitely had a great example, but also within the sport of wrestling, it was like something doesn't go your way, work harder. And as I got older, sometimes when you just put your head down and keep working hard, you'll miss everything around you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there were times where I was like, damn, I'm missing things or opportunities because I'm just thinking work harder. And then sharing your, you know, how you're feeling emotionally or what you're torn up about or what's bothering you. You know what I'm saying? I always felt like I could communicate that to my parents in a way, but in a way I didn't want to seem not tough. So I didn't say it.
You said something earlier about missed opportunities, and I think that's so true. What's one missed opportunity that you feel like, looking back, you recognize that you missed that really shaped you?
I would say there's probably two major misses I had in college. One was on the wrestling front. I had a couple opportunities throughout college, and I refocused towards the tail end with my wrestling career, and things went well. But there were some opportunities I had to excel on the wrestling front, and I was just going through the motions pretty much. I was just excuse me. Yeah, I was just going through the motions. I just wasn't really honed in. But in the workforce, I immediately started working, and I was making pretty good money. And there was opportunities for me to come back to North Carolina. I was in Atlanta at the time, and it was opportunities where I may have made less money at that particular time, but it would have been a way better situation. But I was like, I'm in A, and I'm making bread. I'm going to keep going. And it definitely wasn't the best decision. Excuse me, I had to get one more hit. But yeah, luckily I ended up almost like God put his foot down and was like, no, you're going to redirect back to North Carolina. But I had opportunities to go back before then that probably would have been very lucrative at the time. But it definitely made me start to pay attention to what was going on around me, and the potential successes I could have if I just paid attention and was aware of what was going on.
I have a question, Colton.
I don't like you coughing.
You okay?
Probably because I'm talking so much.
You need some water? We have water too.
Yeah, I'm going to get a little 7-Up. Yeah, I probably need a little water.
No bottles.
Got you.
Okay, so basically,
Thank you.
from your testimony just now,
Testimony.
you lived a regimented life from an early age, 9 to 18, and probably beyond that. So you mentioned the word commitment.
Yep.
That you had, kind of were put into that commitment of wrestling and things like that. Do you feel like there are any areas in your life right now where you're resisting commitment?
We said this one
Shifted up a little bit.
we said it's gonna go anywhere.
I saw something post on Instagram a few weeks ago, though.
What was it?
I got a girlfriend.
I got a girlfriend.
So
What did you see? Because I didn't see it.
Yeah,
That's what you saw?
yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh yeah,
That was the first time I've ever seen you post
I've
an
never
acknowledging.
seen it. Oh,
Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah, I haven't had many girlfriends in my life. Yeah, I haven't. I just haven't. I used to think that it wasn't because of commitment. People you got commitment issues?
No.
I'm like, why would I have commitment issues? No. But then I was like, I definitely got commitment issues. But it wasn't about the girl or
Right.
them. It was more so me. My issue with committing girlfriends in particular back in the day was I never wanted to have to run my decisions by anybody. And but most of them stem from business related decisions, or fun, to be honest. But if somebody, say someone called me and said, hey man, if you were in Miami, or Miami's a bad example because that sounds like too much fun.
It does.
If somebody's so CP, you should be in DC Friday, Saturday. We're going to this. This is a good opportunity if you meet this person. I didn't like to have to check in with anybody. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to go. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And for the longest, I avoided relationships because of that. Not because I had experienced that somebody was going to be...
You wanted freedom.
But freedom that was that thought process wasn't even based on experience, though. It was based on my friend's experience. Because I was watching them. You know what I'm saying? I'd be watching them and being like, damn, girl.
Don't want that for me.
Your girl is texting you.
Yeah.
Bro, we're going someplace to do business. We're not even going to turn up. We might have fun, but we're not. The intentions aren't.
That's not the intention.
It's all the same.
But that was my biggest issue. I realized, man, it's more of me. So, yes, I do have a girlfriend now. And that's been less of an issue than I thought it would be.
So you created that issue in your head.
Pretty much. I created a checking in issue too. Like I go out of town, I'd be calling every 2 hours. Then I realized I was like, she never asked me to do this. Like, why am I creating this situation? I go to the, I'm in the business of alcohol and nightlife. Like, I'd be like downplaying what I was doing. Like, man, I don't even really want to go tonight.
And you really did want to go.
No, but I have a blast. And, and via Instagram, you would see I had a blast. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nothing inappropriate, but you would see I'm having a great time, like doing what I'm doing, because I loved it. It was being around people. It was in the club. Like these are the stories this birthday person or this bridesmaid's gonna tell for the rest of their life. Like I loved it, but I was like, man, why am I even doing that? Like I'm creating, storylines that aren't even existent, or I'm expecting that's what I'm gonna get, and that was my issue with commitment. You know what I'm saying? But now, like, I have a much better perspective, and I'm, you know what I'm saying, I'm good. Like I've realized like I can do both.
Yeah.
But I will say I did have to like change my. I lost a little bit of my juice for a while when I first got a girlfriend, because I was like, I'm not really a promoter. I'm more of like, I throw the pop in pregame, or, it was always based off of me having a bunch of people around that people wanted to party with, or like there'd be a bunch of girls. So guys were like, I want to party with him. Like I want to pregame with him. My whole appeal was based off of that. Yeah. And I was like, that's going to compromise my relationship if I do that. So I was like, how can I keep doing it? And actually, my best friend, James, who, you're aware of, been my best friend since we were 5 years old. He was like, man, like that question was like burning in my mind for like literally a year. And he was like, you know what you need to do? He was like, you need to just embrace Bedlam 100%. Like pre-gaming with CP. You need to show Bedlam everywhere you go. You're going to bring out 4 or 5 bottles, and you're going to pour them up for the whole club when they come out. Like, you're going to have pre-games. You're going to do this. You're going to do things that are just out of the ordinary, but with Bedlam in the forefront. And that's how you can kind of get it back. And I was like, damn, you're right. So I literally started implementing that probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, and the traction and the amount of people reaching out to me about Bedlam has gone through the roof, because like it was like I found another way to like present myself and who I am without, putting my relationship in jeopardy at the end of the day.
I have so many thoughts.
I'm sure you do.
That was tough though. That was hard. That was a lot. That was like it took a while for that to click.
Yeah.
I guess walk me through the conversations that happen. Whether it's conversations with yourself, with your friends, or the conversations with your lady, because I think I'm where you are, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like you're trying to make that transition without losing a piece of yourself. Because I love creating experiences, but I think a lot of times my experiences that I create cross boundaries.
Yeah, I've had some conversations about that.
You know what I mean? So
within the last 72 hours.
You know what I'm saying? So talk to me about those conversations. Talk to me about how do you continue to create this life-changing experience where people remember it while still allowing yourself to stay within the boundaries, being that you're in a relationship now.
Good question, Carl.
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm still working on it.
Can we talk about the 72-hour ago conversation?
I don't know necessarily if I want to dive into it.
I just had to try it.
I'll give you some basis.
Give me a little juice.
But it was pretty much like, and I'm still figuring that out, because I moved for so long based off of that. Like, at the end of the day, if you're creating dope experiences, especially in the nightlife realm, you don't even have to take guys into consideration. If you make sure girls have fun, guys will just follow at the end of the day. So that was always my focus, was making sure like girls had a great time, or, everything was set up for girls, because then the more girls that are there, the cooler, one, guys think you are, but two, like, the better they think your event is.
Yeah.
Like, I used to tell people all the time, I'm not very tall, obviously. 5, 6 and some change. So if I walked in a party and I could see over the crowd, it's just popping. There's a lot of girls in here. If I walk in and it's like an eclipse, I can't see shit, I'm like, it's way too many dudes in there. But like that was like a running joke amongst me and my friends. But like as I started to like try to figure this out, because I was suppressing me being myself for quite some time. And I would kind of say that to her, and that like really upset her. Like, why don't you feel like you can be yourself around me? I'm like, no, I'm being myself. But there's a certain part of me that like, that I think if you got to like see, you would like me even more. Like, that's the part of me that attracts most people to me. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't know how to like be that same person without it being like overstepping any boundaries. You know what I'm saying? But
exactly.
Everyone's going to say it starts with communication. Yeah, it does technically. But it's a much deeper communication. Like, hey, this is how I am. This is what I do. I don't want you to feel like this is inappropriate. But also, like, what do you feel like is me being inappropriate? Or me doing something that's like, you know, a little bit too much? Or because at the end of the day, like, if you're out of town and you do something, you talk to a girl, you get say you got a girl's number, and your girl never saw you, she'd never be mad, ever. I'm not saying that's okay. I'm saying, but she would never be mad. Girls don't like to be embarrassed.
Yes.
So if you do some shit in front of a crowd of people, no matter what it is, it could be something slight. It could just be the way you're talking to the girl. It looks like you're so into the conversation that if 2 or 3 other people walk away from that conversation or walk away from that instance and tell your girl, like, damn, Colton looked real into that girl he was talking to, whatever, your girl's going to be like, she may have even seen it, but because other people addressed it with her, there's going to be a problem.
It's embarrassing.
Exactly.
But if you've already discussed it and laid out what's acceptable, what you can do or what, and she knows you're just doing your thing, business-wise or whatever the case may be, then she's not caught off guard, is what I've come to realize. Like, now if a girl were to go to my girl and be like, damn, Cole was really talking to that girl, like, it seemed like he was real into conversation. Oh, yeah, she was so-and-so, and she has a comeback,
Facts.
then she's straight, so she's not embarrassed. The embarrassment is the key component, you know what I'm saying?
No,
to me.
Now, was that something learned in the last 72 hours?
Nah, but it was that wasn't learned in the last 72. But I learned that one based off my friends' experiences and talking to my friends and them being like, bro, you got to get ahead of it. Like, you're not actually doing anything wrong, but right and wrong is not just black and white. There's a whole lot of gray area that gets you in trouble if you don't establish what's okay. So, you know, I started having those conversations. Like, and making introductions, like, you know, having my girl meet certain people that I'm cool with or having her interact with them to see, like, this person isn't harmful. You know what I'm saying? They actually are in your corner. Because you can probably attest as a guy, it's like 90% of the girls actually support you being in a relationship. They actually try to say to you, like, but those are the same girls you get in trouble for talking to. Like, are the ones who are like, oh, I'm so happy that you're in a relationship. Cole,
you feel like 90% support that? That's a high percentage.
90% of the girls that you actually like are engaging in conversation, maybe texting with or something. I'm talking like really like truly have, like, not you just met them at the club, but like they know you from college or high school. Like, they're really.
I would agree with that.
90%?
Like really engaged. It's rare that any girl ever hits me up and like, y'all ain't broke up yet.
No,
that never happened.
I think that happened a lot.
To that extent, but even like, are they trying to cross boundaries? Because that's not being supported.
I think when you're being honest about it, and I think you've kind of communicated as a man that you're in a relationship or that there's somebody else. I feel like it is 90% of those people. I feel like are respectful at least of that situation.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of you now kind of integrating your relationship currently to the relationships that you had before that relationship.
Because I know sometimes with men, y'all think, oh, if she's not like, you need to leave her for me, then she's supportive. But also if she is challenging boundaries or like you have to reinforce boundaries often, I would also argue that's not her being supportive.
We're going to go on a commercial break.
Okay. Oh, so we're back from commercial break, guys. We got the Bedlam vodka being poured up. I feel like I'm gonna need another refill later. But so I was just talking to Colton, and we took a commercial break, but I wanted to bring it back to what I was saying while we were taking bathroom breaks and things. So I was telling Colton, like, I just feel like men are so. I feel like it's a myth, this whole friendship thing. Like, I feel like y'all love to throw around, like, their friends. And the comment that Colton made, like, 90% of the women are supportive, and then that's the ones that she be tripping over. Like, not her specifically, but that's the ones that women
generally
having a problem with. And I told him, I just feel like, generally, I really believe this. Kyle knows I say this all the time. I feel like most people don't really want to be like my friend in the way that a friend really is. I think the same with Colton, the same with Kyle. So when we think about like a friend, if you opened the door, would they step through it? Probably. That to me is somebody to be like
conscious of.
Conscious of. Not necessarily like you like afraid or like, oh, you can't never be alone with this person. But y'all are not really friends if that door, if it was open, they would step through it. That's not a friend.
I got something for you. I got a question. I got you, bro.
Don't try to step in.
So,
tag team, back again.
You talk a lot about your friendships, right? You talk about how, when you were just at the beginning of our conversation, how you called your friend kind of to, calm you down or just to like say like, I'm tripping. Yeah. Or, when you were when you were trying to integrate your relationship into, your lifestyle, your friend said just go 100% in Bedlam.
Yeah.
How much has your friendships played a positive role in shaping who you are?
That's not what we were talking about.
I got you.
That is not what we were talking about. That's not what we were talking about. And notice all the examples were men that he called. And he ain't called not a single woman that said, that didn't come up in the story.
Well, I'll say this really quickly before I go there. I agree with you. The 90% is not for who would, girls that would take advantage if you open the door. But that's if you open the door. Like, if they're your friend, they probably already know you are a good guy, you got potential or this and that. So if you open the door wide open to them, this can be like, okay, they're going to step through it. But, and I'm not saying the 90% is all the girls who walk up to you in the club or whatever, wherever you're at. But the girl that I may be having a more in-depth conversation with is probably, or that I may text or have or communicate with, is someone that, we either went to school together, we have some sort of backstory, and at least on the surface level, they're going to be supportive of your relationship. Mm-hmm. But if they are, for me, I just leave it there. I'm not going to be like, you really support my relationship? because they're not like, I don't even ask my homeboys that.
Well, no, not that.
But I will say this. Probably some of those girls would overstep, but most oftentimes the girls that I would be, and I'm not saying all would, but some may or may not, but the girls that I have that relationship with will respect my relationship because they know the type of person I am and why we are cool or acquaintances.
Let me ask one more follow-up question. I know Kyle got his little question. Let me just ask one more question. Because I know sometimes, too, this is our first time really talking about these type of things on the podcast. I know sometimes, too, women will not overtly overstep boundaries, but if you're saying something, not like you're telling all your business about the relationship, they'll take the opportunity to make comments about something like, oh, you deserve better, or you blah blah blah. Like, not even that strong, but like they'll say things like, wow, like she did that, like really, I would have expected different or something. And it's just like it's intended to like plant seeds
to throw a shot. Yeah. To take a shot.
That's not that 90% though.
Yeah, that's what I think y'all are including in the 90%. People that do stuff like that too.
But even if it is even if it is in the 90, it's like, at a certain age, you get to the point where you're like, that's bullshit. like you're saying, like, but do you even deserve that? Like, come on now. Like,
y'all know y'all talk to some girls that do stuff like that.
No, but if we're friends like that, I probably deserve that. You know what I'm saying?
You know me.
If they're genuinely your friend, like, you know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, I mean, if you can just decipher who is really like has good intentions or bad, like it's pretty obvious. Like girls that are on the tip of like, you know, trying to be like, oh, she did that, I wouldn't do that. Like if you start going to I wouldn't do this, I already know your intentions aren't.
That's a red flag right there.
Yeah. That's you aren't who I thought you were.
I would never do
I feel like what a system that I put in place that works for me, and I'm still working through the system. It's not like verified yet.
not verified.
Is so the women that I communicate with in regards to my relationship, they're in relationships or they're married, right? So I don't keep a lot of single women's around me. Single women's. I try not to keep a lot of
single.
single.
Go to Bedlam again.
Right. I try not to. I feel like even my guys, man, a lot of my guys, they're in relationships or married. I feel like as I've grown, who I would want to become and who I see myself becoming in the next 5 years, my current relationships mirror that now.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I'd probably say half my like homeboys are married or about to get married or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Like it's a pretty strong percentage. Yeah.
You heading down that road?
I mean, obviously. I mean, I would think that's the intention.
You dating
of
to
the
marry?
goal.
Yeah.
I've never not dated to marry. I mean, I think from middle school.
That's such a political answer. I love it.
No, but it's true. But look,
I'd never have it.
but I actually haven't. Like, but I also didn't date a lot of people.
Right.
There were times like I don't know why I was thinking this is a 16, 17-year-old, but I'm like, damn, like I don't know if I want to get in a relationship because, you know, if this goes well, we're gonna get married. No,
that's so cute.
I like that.
yeah. So, but it didn't work out well. I pretty much just didn't even start them for so long.
Because you didn't want it to get serious because you weren't ready to do that.
And then when I thought it was time to do it, I just went for it. I like got in a relationship and everything was cool, but then I was like, man, I could be happy, but I wouldn't be ecstatic. You know what I'm saying? And then, and I probably got in trouble multiple times, but
Not one time, multiple times.
I just would have done stuff that I was still in it takes a while, in my personal opinion, and we put way too short of a timetable on it, on the time frame at which you're supposed to start being selfless. Like, rarely are people selfless for anything other than their children. So to be selfless for a significant other, like for a person who you've known for 2 years, to really stop putting yourself first and put them first is kind of ridiculous.
I feel like that's a fear, though.
That's good, bro. Talk more about this, please.
I've never even thought about this much, but it's true.
I think that's a fear component because I feel like that, but it's a fear. It's like if I put all of my energy into you and then you leave me, then I wasted all this time putting this into you.
And you're intelligent for feeling
that's
that way.
a fear, though.
But that's intelligence.
I feel like if there was a situation,
that's experience is telling you that you have to keep your guard up, which I think are legitimate.
I think it would be ideal if you had two selfless people, though, and they both made a commitment to be selfless. I think it alleviates the fear. We feel fearful when we want to be selfless for someone that is selfish still.
Yeah,
I think naturally, though, humans are selfish people.
Absolutely.
I do agree with
survival.
you in regards
You're trying to survive.
Societally,
like when I had my like it was all about Kyle and my dream, my vision, my goals, everything that I'm trying to do. When I had Carter, it shifted everything. But it's challenging for me to be as selfless for anything that doesn't have to do with my benefit other than Carter.
I'm going to challenge that because I feel like that contradicts it. If when you had a child, inherently and intuitively you became selfless, that to me points to our natural inclination is selflessness. If that was your natural response to having a child, that is humans' natural inclination, I feel.
But look at the humans, the animal kingdom, everything. When you have oftentimes when you have offspring, now your job or your purpose is to create a better situation for them.
That's humans' natural inclination.
Natural.
Right.
If you don't have no kids, like to meet someone and date someone, yeah, you can say you're all about them. You jump in front of a bullet for them, and you may, because you're kind of supposed to. You've been taught that you should do that. But that's a learned behavior to like for a guy to be a protector.
Learned.
But no, I wouldn't even necessarily say that it's a learned behavior. I retract that. I retract that statement. It's the bedlam again. But what I will say is it's not natural to be selfless. Like when you meet someone who's actually like is selfless in a situation, like that's unique. That's unique when that person isn't your parent, like, or a sibling. When it's someone, a coach or someone, usually when someone like that, like a coach or a mentor does something like that for you, at that point you're ride or die for them. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And in a relationship, saying that is easy, but doing that is a whole different ball game. And I just think that, you know what I'm saying, like it takes time, it takes a lot to get to that point with someone you're dating. You don't just jump into that. And even if you want to say it, it's not your nature, your second nature for that to happen.
I'm going to ask a question. God forbid, say a man came in here and he was trying to shoot or something. Would y'all's inclination be to make sure I don't get hit?
That's a tough question.
No, but I would. My first move.
No, it's not. How is that a tough question? Is that a no?
Before you even ask the question, my first inclination would be to protect you.
Okay,
but
that's natural.
That's natural,
right?
But that's in an instance.
That is natural.
I don't think that's a selfless act.
That is selfless. Yeah. To make sure I don't get hit at the expense of you, that is selfless.
I do believe
that is selfless.
I do believe that was learned though.
No, that would be natural
to protect a woman.
No, because when it happens that quick, you're not even thinking about what did my daddy teach me. You're thinking, what is my natural inclination?
Check. If Carter was in here, he would run, or he would drop down, or he would go under the table. That's natural inclination, correct or incorrect?
Yes, I think it's all the same.
So I feel like as I teach him to protect a woman and not ever let any harm happen to a woman, when he would become 28, 29, 30 years old, I feel like then it becomes like a learned behavior to then protect.
I think as he grows up, I think men have a natural inclination to be a protector.
Exactly.
And so as he grew up, I think even if you didn't tell him that, because you see people all the time on the news when shootings happen, and they go and protect everybody. It's other men in the room, it's other people.
Facts.
They just step and they taking over the shooter. Like, I think that is
yes.
I do. So I think in general, our natural inclination is to exhibit selfless behaviors. I feel like if you did not have a fear, and if you did not have a fear that the person that you were selfless for would be selfless, would maybe not be selfless back, I think that affects things. Because if you think this person has my back 100%, like 100%, and there is no situation, no possibility where they're going to either choose something different or look out for them over me, I think it makes it easier to look out for them too.
Yeah, selfless as it pertains to violence.
Well, in general,
I'm just saying, but
that's because
we're talking about violence
example.
is an extreme example. Violence is when it's like, that's my nature to protect. Yes, but when you're maneuvering through a relationship over the course of years, and the threats aren't life threatening, your decision making is a little slightly different. I mean, and I'm not saying for everybody, and I could be going down a whole different road here, but like, God, I'm gonna turn this into a serious men versus women debate. But one thing that I've seen just in society today, and how could you, and this not my relationship at all, 100% not my relationship.
Disclaimer.
She does.
I love it.
because she doesn't need me for anything like financial or for her life. Like, she's straight. You know what I'm saying? I might be an addition in terms of companionship and love and those types of things, but I'm not enhancing her overall life experience monetarily.
Okay.
In our relationship. But I think that happens a lot of times in our relationships. It's looked at as monetary, and like I see like a lot of mainstream, like, you know, artists and hip hop culture, all that stuff, everyone like chicks is hyper focused on like what dudes can do for you. But like, if you're looking at me as someone who can do things for you monetarily, I don't want to call people dumb, but as an intelligent man, if I'm doing things for you monetarily, our relationship is dictated off of money then.
Okay.
I can treat you however I want to treat you because I know at the end of the day, it's a dollar amount to get you back in line.
Okay.
So if you're going to approach a guy based off of how he can adjust your living experience financially or whatever the case may be, expect that the terms of that relationship are going to be dictated off of that approach. If you are willing to
look like that?
But I'm just saying because there's plenty of guys out here that are great guys that are making solid money, can support a family. You would have a happy life with them. They would treat you right. They would do everything right. And those guys get skipped right over for cats that are making a ton of bread. But then you want the dude who is making a ton of bread or making great money or whatever the case may be to be the same way those other guys are. Like, but that's either going to be rare or it's going to be later down the road. I'm just saying, like, that's not everybody.
I'm hearing you.
But I'm just saying that's just what the case is.
We're going to go on a commercial break.
Okay. All right, we are back. Welcome back. So we've been having like gender war conversation over
literally.
here, but I'm holding on strong by myself. So it's cool. So we're gonna switch it up a little bit. So Colton, you may have noticed a red box in the middle of the table.
Yes.
So I would like for you to take the red box. It has questions in it.
Oh, really?
I would like for you to read
fun.
one of these questions out loud and then answer it. I have no doubt that you will be honest with your answer. So
God, that means when someone gives you that before you open
I don't
the
know
box,
what question you
it means
chose,
the
though. I
question's
really
probably
don't.
going to be ridiculous.
I have no idea what it is.
What is
It can't be that bad.
What is one thing that you tell yourself that you know isn't true?
That was a good one.
I'm tall.
You tell yourself
I don't tell myself I'm tall. One thing I tell myself that isn't true. I probably tell myself I'm doing better than I am. Like when I hate to run back to relationship shit, but
you
like
the one wanted to change it.
no, but I'm saying that's probably the one area like I try to give myself reassurance. Like business wise, I don't really seek the reassurance because I feel like I'm straight. But that's like probably one area where I'm like, I think I'm doing a good job. Like checking my like, bro, what you think? I feel like everything's going good. Like, yeah, that's might be one area that I may lie to myself a little bit sometimes, but that would be it.
Oh, so you really care, like to do well. That's nice.
Well, I feel like at the end of the day, to me, like that's kind of what matters. Like everyone used to say, like you're just gonna meet somebody and things, the switch is gonna flick. And I'm like, damn it, something must really be wrong because I don't feel like that's I don't feel like that's happening to me based off of like meeting people that I'm like all of a sudden wanting to be perfect. But what I did realize a difference was that I cared about the outcome. Like, you know, in previous relationships or starting to talk to people. And a lot of times it wasn't even the girl's fault or necessarily that I didn't like her in that way. I just had a barrier up in my mind that I wasn't going to do anything. But when I started to realize, like, I was willing to take that barrier down, and then I was, you know, started considering my decision making and you know, things like that. That's why I was like, okay, this is a little bit different than what I've experienced previously. So that's when I, you know, I took it more seriously. But that was a good question, actually. That was
Thank you.
So I guess what are your thoughts? You know, that's I guess my question, because the goal of this podcast is to bring people on, you know, that are very successful people, and kind of pull back the curtain behind the business, because we all see brands, we all see influencers, we Instagram glorify success, right? You're not gonna post the struggle stories, but we want to actually get to know the actual person. So I guess, how has this experience made you feel? What are some of the questions? What are some of your thoughts?
I mean,
Question.
it is very good question. I mean, I think this is good insight into what makes businesses, move or make a business successful, whatever the case may be, because it is the people at the end of the day. Like, people say it's just business, it's not personal. Like, nah, fuck that, it's personal. Because to me, business is personal because I've put my all into this business, so I take it personally. And this is, been insightful, but also a way to see the person behind the business, or why it, may be successful, or why they're, on a path to success. And, that's, I think that's what makes the difference between like a solid business person and a good or great business person is not what you learn in school, but how you are able to integrate yourself into the business, because that's what's going to be most genuine, you know what I'm saying, or most organic about your business is the part that makes it special. And the part that makes it special is not the product or the service, it's the person behind the product or service, and what put them on the path to create that product or create that service, or what, how they navigate through business is based off of their personal experiences. Like, we influence our businesses in so many different ways, and that's business or product. But we have such a heavy influence, but there's not a heavy focus on the person. And when businesses start to feel or seem generic and not organic anymore is when they've usually, parted ways with the creator. When the business gets so big or makes so much money that you bring in a board of directors and a CEO that just got hired for the position, they're not passionate about the product. That's when you see it's going a different direction. But when you catch people's businesses at their best is when it's really like they have the means and the success to make their business most accurately reflect their vision. And this is a way to see, in some cases prior to the success, or for some folks I'm sure you've had on here, the success while it's happening, of why they've been successful. And, what experiences or influences have caused them to, have impacted their success. So, I've enjoyed it. It's been a good conversation and a compelling conversation.
No, for sure. So I'm gonna end with a rapid fire exercise.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say a word, and you're gonna say one word that represents, or the first word that you think of. Okay.
I'm not good at this because I'm pretty. I feel like I'm relatively smart. My processing speeds aren't great.
Nah, it's all good.
I wonder why.
It's the bedlam. It's the bedlam.
I did this. I just gotta tell you, I did this cognitive test for a friend, like an IQ test, and she was like, "Your IQ was great. Like your spatial, like she's like your spatial recognition and like." There was all these different categories. I did really well in a lot of them, but processing speed wasn't the best. And I was like, man, that doesn't sound good.
This should be good then. This should be fun.
But when I did the test, I was seeking perfection as opposed to speed. And she was like, I could tell that you were like making sure every answer was correct instead of just flying through the test. And I was like, yeah.
So much to be said about that, but we have to go.
Once I was told that, though, I was like, damn, I need to be thinking kind of hard about stuff before I say something back. But
here we go. You ready? You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. The first word, I'm gonna make it easy. Bedlam.
I want to say vodka. Then my mind said the shit.
We'll go with that one. Family.
First.
Love.
Awesome is the first word that popped in my head, but that doesn't sound good. But love, awesome is good.
Yeah.
But I wanted a deep one. But yeah, love, awesome. No, I mean it's everything.
Okay. Commitment.
All damn day. Not one word.
Business.
Acumen. I don't know how that word popped in my head.
Transformation.
Process.
Durham.
The shit again.
Look, you heard from Colton Palmer. A man of many talents, a man of many hats, but a man of impact, a man of family. And one of the biggest things that we took away from today is that Make your dream, make your vision, make your reality your lifestyle. Just like he made wrestling his lifestyle, and just like he's made facilitating his lifestyle today, make it your lifestyle. He's created a melting pot for maximizing people's vision. He's been able to not only spread himself thin, but being able to maximize other people on how they can take not only their idea, not only their vision, but also their company and their calling and make it successful. Colton Palmer, Around the Way Podcast. We'll see you guys next episode.
Bye.